Here is Rebecca Clyde.
Hi. Good afternoon, everyone. Hello. That's about as much Dutch as I know. I hope you're doing well today. My name is Rebecca Clyde, as he said, and I'm the co-founder of a startup based in the US called Botco. And we're a conversational marketing platform that is disrupting the $8 billion marketing automation industry. So not long ago, I was coming back from a trip, much like this one, and I came home to find a notification that I had forgotten to pay my internet bill while I was away. And as you can imagine, not having internet at home, not having Wi-Fi can have catastrophic consequences in any household. So my first order of business was to take care of getting this bill paid. So I went to my provider's website, Centurylink, and took care of paying the bill, and then decided, you know, I should set up auto pay, right? So that the bill just gets paid every month. I don't have to remember. Next time I'm on a long trip, this won't happen. Well, as I was on their website trying to get auto pay set up, of course, it didn't work properly. After multiple failed attempts, I got very frustrated. And I found, finally on their website, after digging and digging, I found this little button at the top of the website hidden that said, live chat. And I thought, perfect, right? I'll find someone at Centurylink that can help me, and I'll resolve this, and I'll never have to worry about paying my internet bill again. Well, this is what I got. Live chat not available. Well, the problem was I was trying to do this at 10 p.m. at night. And live chat, according to Centurylink, is only available until 6 p.m. So it only works for people who are paying their bills during the day at work. And also, if you notice, they didn't support mobile devices, which is a double whammy, in my opinion. So what could have Centurylink done better, right? Here I was trying to give them my money, trying to schedule a payment with them so I never had to worry about missing a bill, and they couldn't help me. How often are we doing this to our customers without even realizing it? So what could have they done differently, right? One thing they could do is just staff their live chat 24/7, right? That's an option, certainly. But the problem with this idea is that it can be very expensive. And as we know, humans are not always available. So instead, what about turning to automation, right? Using artificial intelligence to augment what their human support is able to offer, and thus being able to provide support 24/7, and perhaps even enrich or augment the capabilities and the services that their live chat could offer. Now, another thing to think about, in this example, I had to go to their website to take care of this problem. But the truth is, who actually wants to go to all of your providers' websites? We know that that usually is not the most optimal experience, right? We want to be able to conduct this kind of business on our mobile devices in the places that we like to be. And where is it that your customers are most likely to be spending their digital time? Well, to answer that question, let's take a trip to China. To China, where WeChat is everything. In China, you live out your entire life on WeChat. At work, you use it to collaborate with teams, you use it to organize projects, you can even use WeChat to pay your vendors. Now, in your personal life, you would use WeChat to make plans with friends, you would even schedule a doctor's appointment, order a passport for that next trip that you're planning to go on, right? Your entire life will be organized around WeChat. Now, a lot of us think that maybe this is just happening, this phenomenon of messaging as the preferred platform of choice, or the preferred app, this mega app that we use for all things, that it really only applies in China, right? Because they have a little bit more barriers around what they can do. But the truth is that's not the case. We are using messaging all over the world, and this is where we're spending most of our time. In Europe and North America, the tendency is to use WhatsApp or Facebook Messenger. The two tend to vie for the most users in both continents. But in other parts of the world, you'll see other applications also widely used, like Telegram and Line and Viper and Kik. So wherever it is that your customers might be, they're going to be using a messaging application, and that is where they're spending the majority of their digital time. Here in Belgium, the preference is to use Facebook Messenger, along with WhatsApp. Those are the two #1 platforms, along with France and the UK. Now, in Spain and Italy, we're seeing WhatsApp being primarily used. And Germany, it's kind of a 50-50 split. So depending on where your customers might be, you would want to think about using a messaging application that is most relevant to that audience in the country of business that you are conducting. So let's zero in a little bit on Messenger, since that is one of the leading platforms here in Belgium. There are 65 million businesses on Facebook, but only 20 million of those are actually conducting business through Messenger. So the other 45 million are leaving messages unanswered within Messenger. Now, to me, that sounds like a little bit of a disgrace, but I'm sure that it's because many of these companies don't know how to handle those interactions. They haven't found a way to automatically be able to handle those interactions and create a good experience for their customers. So they simply just choose to ignore them. But let me give you some examples of what some other companies are doing here in Europe and in other parts of the world to leverage this platform, leverage messaging, and couple it with AI to create really exciting customer interactions. So this first one, this is a company out of Austria called Swelly. And Swelly has created a chatbot on Messenger that allows you to A/B test anything you want about your life. Maybe you want to wear this jacket or that jacket today, and you could A/B test it using this chatbot. Or perhaps you want to decide on which photo to upload into your Instagram account that day. Or maybe you're trying to make a decision on which pair of shoes to use. Now think about, as a company, and many of you here are marketers, if I understand correctly, how could you use a platform like this to A/B test your creative, to A/B test your copy, to A/B test your product concepts, even project ideas among your employees, right? This capability could be used to crowdsource some of those kinds of interactions. Now, this is a great chatbot for the hypochondriacs out there. It's called YourMD, and it's from a UK-based startup. And YourMD, what you do is you go to this chatbot and you tell the chatbot what you're experiencing if you have any particular symptoms. And then it will give you back 5 ideas of what might be causing those symptoms. And so this is a great way to help you get educated quickly and use messaging as a way to understand your own health a little bit better. In the US, one of the companies there called Best Western, they're one of the larger hotel chains, is using chatbots on Messenger to help their most loyal travelers redeem points. Because every time somebody stays at their hotel, they earn these points. And they're now creating these entire travel experiences that are generated just for their most loyal customers. They can redeem those points for a trip to Paris, to Disney World, to the Grand Canyon. And they can organize all of those redemptions through a chatbot. And all of it being automated using AI. And then, of course, there's KLM. They have been leading the way for quite some time with their bot called Blue. So with BlueBot, you can take care of your entire travel journey all through an automated chatbot. You can decide where you're going to travel. You can book your travel. You can even get updates on whether your flights are delayed or not, where your bags might be. And what I love is their voice bot that they have generated for Google Home that allows you to get ideas on what you should pack, depending on the weather conditions, depending on cultural norms that might be useful to know. I recently traveled to Indonesia and used something like this to help me decide what length of skirt I should take, because many of my skirts were probably too short for some of the places I was going. So this kind of thing would be very important for that type of advice. So again, take this opportunity to think about your own business. If you are wanting to interact with your customers using messaging where they mostly are, and take advantage of AI to automate these interactions at scale, how could you be creating a better experience with these kinds of chatbots? So of course, no conversation about AI can be complete without addressing the elephant in the room, right? Will AI be used for good or for evil? Right? We have those that believe that AI is going to potentially take over our jobs. The machines will turn against us. They'll become evil overlords, right? We hear those stories quite often. And then we have the other side of the picture that tells us, AI is going to elevate our experience as humans, because now we don't have to do the mundane. We'll be able to do these amazing things. We'll be able to solve problems that we've never been able to solve before. And so there's kind of those two diametrically opposed views. I believe that we have the answer right here. All of us here ought to be responsible for being a part of the design of AI. So find out what your company is doing and how you can infuse humanity into its design. And don't think that just because you're not a technologist, you don't have a computer science background. Actually, you are precisely the people that we need, because we need the humanists, the poets, the writers, the artists, those people who are best equipped to translate the human experience. And that is what needs to be a part of the design in AI. Now, there are a lot of myths out there about what is happening with AI, and particularly with chatbots. So let's ground a few of these. We'll talk about some of the myths and realities that are out there. So the first reality, if you've interacted with a chatbot, is that you've probably found that some of these bots are actually scripted. So a human being, a person, sat down and wrote out thousands and thousands of copy lines to explain what the bot would say based on certain triggers, right? So they weren't all created using pure automation. Now, there's a lot of tools right now that are being developed to automate that writing process, but humans are still, to this day, very involved in the development of chatbot scripting. Now, even as AI is getting developed, it still needs human help. And I think this is a really critical part where you can all play a role also. And that first place is in choosing the content that will be used to train the AI. So that content curation is very key, and we still depend on humans and actually hope that humans are very involved in that process. And we'll talk a little bit about why that's important. Then once we take those content sources and move them through the algorithms that generate all the conversations, we also want humans on the other side to be able to QA and test the results to make sure that we're getting what we want, right? That we're not creating any more problems by using language incorrectly. So those two places are very important to have humans. And what this process also does, and I think it's an excellent forcing function, for us to really be able to think about all of our digital touch points, whether they're online on our website or whether they're taking place in the back office of our company's business processes. Let's think about how we're taking that entire customer experience and where maybe there are some flaws, right? Because sometimes going through this scripting process and through this QA process helps us identify some of those. Now, remember I mentioned it's very important to be part of the curation of the content sources that your chatbot uses. Does anybody here remember Tay, the Microsoft chatbot that was trained on Twitter? Anybody remember these stories? Yeah, there's a few of you. So when Tay went live, within just a few hours, it became a racist, misogynist jerk. And why did this happen? Because they trained it on Twitter and just let it loose to learn its language, its command of the English language through Twitter. And unfortunately, that wasn't such a great idea. So Microsoft had to take it down immediately because they were offending half the planet and fix a few things in their algorithm. And quickly learned that actually it's not a good idea to train an AI loose on a content source like Twitter. So make sure that as you're selecting the content sources that you're going to use to train your AI, that you are using content sources that really reflect the best parts of your brand and really show how you want every single one of your customers to be spoken to. Now, reality 3 is that human-like AI is quite not quite there yet, right? Does anybody remember this movie, Her, with Joaquin Phoenix and Scarlett Johansson? It came out a few years ago. It's been a while. If you haven't watched it recently, go take a look at it again. It's a good one. But in this film, there's an AI. Her name is Samantha, and she's played by Scarlett Johansson. So you never actually see her. You just hear her voice because she's in a little device like this. And, of course, Joaquin Phoenix, who is our protagonist in this film. And the two of them establish a relationship, and it becomes a rather romantic relationship in a way. And what's really important is to think about, how Samantha, the AI, she uses all the right words, which Alexa or Siri today could use, but she delivers them with feeling and emotion in such a way that you can't help but just fall in love with her. So let's take a look at this one little clip where we hear Samantha speaking to Theodore.
Earlier I was thinking about how I was annoyed, and this is going to sound strange, but I was really excited about that. And then I was thinking about the other things I've been feeling, and I caught myself feeling proud of that, proud of having my own feelings about the world, like the times I was worried about you, and things that hurt me, things I want. And then I had this terrible thought. Like, are these feelings even real? Or are they just programming? And that idea really hurts. And then I get angry at myself for even having pain. Oh, what a sad trick.
You feel real to me, Samantha.
Thank you, Theodore. That means a lot to me.
Well, I don't know about you, but Alexa never talks to me that way. Right? So if our AI is not quite at the level of Samantha and can't quite deliver such emotive phrases to us yet, let's think about what's coming and what will actually get us there. So all around us, we're surrounded by devices that are super smart, they're intelligent, they have the ability to even send rockets to the moon, but they are completely devoid of any ability to identify how we're feeling in a given moment. My phone doesn't know if I'm feeling happy or sad or frustrated, right? And so it doesn't have the ability to truly deliver on that emotional connection that is needed. And I feel like this is the missing layer, the part that we're working on so hard to really transcend. And emotion AI, or emotional intelligence incorporated into AI, is essential because this is the part that allows us to connect as human beings, that allows us to establish trust one with another. So let's take a look at this one phrase, right? I often fly an airline called American Airlines. It's based in my hometown. And oftentimes I will, tweet or say to myself, "Thanks, American Airlines." Now, depending on what I say or how I say it, this could mean two very different things, right? It could mean, "Thanks, American Airlines, you just upgraded my seat to first class, awesome." Or it could be, "Thanks, American Airlines, you just delayed my flight or lost my bag," or something like that, right? So we can say the exact same thing, but have it mean two very different things. And as businesses, if we're going to respond to this phrase using automation, we better be very sure what we're responding to. Are we responding to thanks or thanks, right? So we need to know that difference, that distinction. So there are companies such as Effective that are creating emotion sensing databases that we can incorporate into our platforms to be able to distinguish, for example, between sarcasm and sincerity, two very important concepts to be able to understand differently. So what else is next? Besides being able to identify sarcasm and sincerity, what's happening next? Well, most businesses, 80% in fact, are planning to have a chatbot live by 2020. That's less than 2 years away. And actually, 36% of businesses already have some form of chatbot within their organizations. So find out what's going on in your own companies and be a part of that experience and make sure that you're embedding this type of humanity into the experience. And why is this happening? Why are businesses rushing to create these kinds of messaging interactions using chatbots? Well, it's the on-demand economy that has changed everything. So back in the day, we used to tell our customers, right, "Come to our website, then browse, navigate, find all my navigation buttons, and see if you can find what you need, that asset you want to download or that thing you want to buy, and that's how you're going to interact with our company." Well, the on-demand economy has completely shifted that whole perspective, where we're being told, "No, I don't want to go to your website. I just want to tell you what I want, and it's your job to get it to me right away. So companies like Telegram, for example, are using messaging platforms to incorporate payment systems so that businesses can take their entire commercial infrastructure and place it on Telegram. And they're putting this all on the blockchain, by the way. And then WhatsApp has just launched a whole new program called WhatsApp for Business that allows businesses to handle all of their messaging interactions through their platform. Now, this is a big undertaking, so as you embark on this whole journey, there are some pitfalls that you might want to avoid. You know, the first thing I always tell people I work with is don't automate just for the sake of automation. Make sure you're doing it in a way that enriches the customer experience and makes it better than it was before. Second, remember to stay human, right? You're still dealing with humans on the other side. So when we think about kind of the ideal of automation, I always like to think about C-3PO and R2-D2 from Star Wars, right? They were not human, but they surely knew how to represent humanity. And then ultimately make a plan. When you work with your innovation department or anybody that's a part of this whole process, make sure you know clearly what your outcome is, that you have all the key players around the table, and that you're constantly iterating this process so that it's continuously improving. And most importantly, it's important to remember that regardless of whether you're using AI or not, or even digital interactions, that everything is all about what feeling your customer walked away with, right? That's what they're going to remember in the end. And so think about, how are you designing experiences that will leave them walking away feeling positive about their interaction with your company? So in the end, we have come full circle. Because before even websites or apps were born, business was always conversational, right? And it's funny how human language, which was the original UI, has now become the new UI. This is a very exciting time that we all get to be a part of, because commerce has become conversational again. And now is the time, as businesses, for us to get it right. Thank you.